Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man, I don't know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like a Lyft might be hurting pretty soon too.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed.
The man didn't say he doesn't want a 468-pound woman in his car. He said a 468-pound woman won't fit in his car. There's a huge difference.
Tell us the truth!
All right, what's good, YouTube? It's your man, Book of AlphaRonomy, a.k.a. Doc BOA. Yep, I got time today. There's a story going around where there's a 468-pound woman who has sued Lyft because a driver in a very small vehicle told her that she was too hefty to get into his vehicle. Now, she's saying she got offended by that, when in all actuality, she really can't fit a vehicle that size. When I'm tooling around in my buggy, coupe, two-seater, there's no, if I wanted to put a 468-pound woman in there, I couldn't. And that's not to knock anyone for their lifestyle choices that put them in the position they're in, but she's 468 pounds because of lifestyle choices. And those lifestyle choices and the results thereof shouldn't allow her to infringe on other people's rights, on other people's beliefs, on other people's standard. But let's take a look at a clip of her, short performance clip, and we'll see what we mean by size, weight, damage. Now, I want y'all to understand something. This isn't a knock on obese people or overweight people. There's an obesity problem in America for sure. But although lifestyle has a lot to do with it, also the chemicals in the food have a lot to do with it as well. You know, a healthy lifestyle is not promoted heavily in America. You know, it's a country where the pharmaceutical industry has a stronghold and stranglehold even on the food industry and a lot of other professions as well that contribute to the food industry and the downfall of the health circumstance in America. But this has nothing to do with that. This is a woman who can't even stay on her feet when she squats down. And she wants a man to put her into his car. And she's saying she's been in cars like that before. Well, here's the thing about someone who weighs as much as she does. She's constantly gaining weight. Like, when you're in a weight gaining lifestyle and you constantly putting on more weight, you don't top out. You end up on my 600-pound life. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality of it. Once you start getting up into those fours and all of that, if you don't make a drastic lifestyle change, you continue every year, you just get bigger and bigger. So if she was in that type of vehicle a year ago, that don't mean she can fit in it this year, because she could very well be gaining 75 to 100 pounds a year. So as you saw in this clip, she's a rapper. And some of the things she says in her lyrics are just bananas, like this.
Rapping niggas flexing with a big bag. Yo, man's mad, he ain't fuck no more. Mr. Hell was good, but I ain't want no more. Fuck a few bitches, but bitches my mind twisted. Please don't get it twisted, my pussy was spine kissing. People thought I liked it, but pussy a crime kissing. Stop fucking on these niggas, I been here, they been trash. Bitch.
Yeah.
They never liking on me, walking on the same.
Yeah.
On the same shit, so quick change.
And she's suing the Lyft because he said she was too large to fit in his sedan, but she's almost too large to fit in the back of this SUV. You see what I mean? Here's a woman who can barely fit into the cargo area of an SUV, and she's saying that she should be able to get into this man's car in the back seat. It's just not realistic. If this man isn't in a large SUV, it's just not going to happen. And now I think this image of her sitting in the back of this SUV should be plenty of proof for Lyft that this girl can't fit in the car. But the fact that we live in a society where someone will believe that even if they're too heavy and weigh too much, you should stuff them into your vehicle because they have the right to be in there is crazy. Now let's listen to her attorney talk all this craziness about in the state of Michigan. And it may be like this in your state. Comment down below and let me know if it's like this in your state, where if you discriminate against somebody for weight, even if their weight is a hindrance to what they're trying to do, even if their weight is an impediment, an insurmountable obstacles to what they're trying to do, if you tell them that, then it's the same thing discriminating against someone black or someone Hispanic or someone who's very, very short or someone who's handicapped. Peep game.
You been in cars that size before?
Yes, I have. I've been in cars smarter than that. you know?
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man, I don't know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like a Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed. Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
Listen, man, here's what I want y'all to understand. The man didn't say he doesn't want a 468-pound woman in his car. He said a 468-pound woman won't fit in his car. There's a huge difference. And so I think this lawsuit is going to be thrown out. It should be thrown out because honestly, I would tell a woman the same thing. Let's say I got catfished and I pull up and there's a 468-pound woman walk out the door. She could be sweet as peach pie. It could be like, okay, nothing's going to happen after this, but since we already dressed, let's go. I wouldn't be able to fit her in my car. It's not that I don't want you in my car. I wouldn't be able to fit you in my car. And I think that's what's being lost in all of this.
We want people to see like what we go through as bigger people, The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, like. And
he has every right to say that. But here's another example. In this example, this is a woman who she's on my 600-pound life. Now honestly, I want y'all to honestly assess this. I want you to watch this woman, look at her size. You can tell she's bigger, but not that much bigger. Now, you see how she was walking? She was barely able to move. She wasn't walking healthy. She couldn't stand. She tried to squat when she did her little rap thing. She fell over. I want y'all to understand what we're looking at. We're in a society where people want to say, no matter what lifestyle I choose, no matter what happens to me, I want to be able to do everything I would have been able to do if I hadn't done that until they get to this point where they're bedridden. So let's watch this clip, man. We'll come back and chop it up on the real tip.
Oh my God, my knee! My knee is being pushed into the damn wood.
You go to fall, just sit down.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
See, this is what happens in these situations, man. And don't y'all laugh, but this is what happens in these situations. When you're this big, your feet were made for a much smaller person. Unless you have size 13 or 15 feet, you're going to wobble when you walk. It's too much weight to be on top of those small feet. And most women have small feet. Even women who have bigger feet have smaller feet compared to men. And if a woman gets this size, her feet can't support the weight. She has to walk perfectly and place her feet down perfectly, or she's not going to make it. She's going to tumble over like this. Your knees aren't meant to carry this. Your ankles aren't meant to carry this. Your hips aren't meant to carry this. Your elbows aren't meant to carry that. Your shoulders aren't meant to carry that. Your neck isn't meant to carry that. Your lower back isn't meant to carry that. Your toes aren't meant to carry that. Here's what you have to understand. When you live in a society where people throw caution to the wind and they do everything in their power to be as unhealthy as they possibly can, there are consequences and repercussions to that.
I feel like such an idiot.
The first time Delana stepped out of her house in years, she fell, despite using a walker for support. She exclaimed in panic that she couldn't get up and needed her husband's assistance. Eventually, a rescue team had to be called to help her back inside. This incident sounded a loud alarm that her health had reached a breaking point and she needed to lose weight immediately. Every day, Delana wakes up in constant pain, chest pain, muscle aches, and leg discomfort. She can barely move and has to rely on chairs to get around the house. The lingering signs of incontinence further highlight the challenging state she's in. Unhealthy eating habits and lack of exercise have trapped Delana in a vicious cycle of weight gain, pushing her health to a dangerous tipping point.
Pain, pain, pain. And I know as soon as I sit up that the pain's going to start, and it's just...
When you saw her husband standing there, bro, all he could do was stand over her. He couldn't do nothing. He like, I can't help you. You're 600 and some pounds. I can't help you. I can't help you up. Even that girl, the rapper girl, when she fell on that floor, believe me, Somebody had to help her up, or she was just going to sit there and rap all the time. Like, we can't continue to excuse poor behavior and allow it to infringe on other people. Now, if you choose to live a lifestyle, that's fine. That's your choice. You can live however you want to live in the United States. You could do all the damage you want to yourself, or you could be as healthy as you want to be. The issue is, just because you're overweight or obese, that doesn't mean you're always being picked on. That doesn't mean you're always being discriminated against. There are some luxuries that you simply don't have at 468 pounds. And one of those is fitting into a small vehicle. There are certain luxuries you don't have at 600 pounds. And one of those is being able to walk up a flight of stairs or get out of bed. You understand? There are certain luxuries you don't have. You understand me? There's certain luxuries you don't have. And that's just how it is. Man, that was poop on the toilet, man. You know what I'm saying? When a woman sits down, man, she's in the type of shape where she can't even, like, you know, incontinence is you can't hold your poop, you can't hold your urine, you can't hold whatever going on, man, you just can't hold it. You've gotten to the point where your body don't even work like that anymore, bro. And I want you to understand, man, the fact that a man can lose his job because a woman wants to say, yes, I've let myself get to a point where it's destructive to me and other people's vehicles. He's in the wrong for not letting me get in his vehicle and tear it up. Bro, there's just no way that, like, this woman is trying to go out to a party. This woman should be going to the gym, not a party. She should be going to a party at the gym. Man, let me tell y'all something, brothers. There are people who are way smaller than her that are living with grave discomfort. But when you look at certain things, man, I mean, we live in a society, and she's got a husband, and I'm going to be honest with you, brothers. I'm going to be honest with you. If you have a husband or you have a wife and they get to this size, you're a part of the problem. You're part of the problem because you're probably still loving on them and still doing all that. Now, I'll say this. Just because a man decides he doesn't want to be intimate with his wife when she gains a lot of weight, that don't mean he don't love her. That means he don't lust her. That don't mean he don't love her and he ain't going to be there for her. That means he doesn't desire her anymore. And I think because you men continue to go on, the majority of you men who take those pills and the majority of men who take those honey packs and all of that, y'all take those things because you're not really attracted to the woman that you're trying to be intimate with. If you have a high level of attraction to the woman that you're with, bro, your body functions naturally unless you just eat crazy and eat unhealthy and you're unhealthy like this. But if you're a 400-pound man, bro, the last thing on your mind should be, you know, trying to get some jug, because I'm going to be honest with you, you can't even find your wood. Now, here's an image of the rapper girl, Dank DeMoss. Is there much difference in her size and the size of the woman who's bedridden? Now, this woman is sitting in the back of an SUV right now, the cargo area, and she's almost taking up the entire opening space. And how is she then supposed to fit in an Uber driver's little Toyota vehicle? I don't care if it's a Toyota Corolla. I don't care if it's a Camry. I don't care if it's an Avalon. The only thing Toyota that she gonna be able to get in is maybe a 4Runner or a Sequoia. That's it, bruh. Maybe a Toyota Tundra. But those trucks, they don't have really big backseats in them, man. Even the 4-door ones. So I just want y'all to understand, man, this isn't discriminating against her. This is someone simply saying, okay, this has gone too far in your life. It doesn't make any sense, man, for us to be subjected to being the victim of people who don't want to be victim, and so they play the victim all the time. Why don't you look at yourself and say, why have you done this to me? Why don't you look at yourself as the main culprit who's got you in this position? That man isn't the reason you didn't get in that Lyft vehicle. You're the reason you didn't get in that Lyft vehicle. That man isn't the reason that when you were trying to do your performance at that club that night you fell on the floor and you couldn't get up. You're the reason for that. Just like the lady earlier. Her husband isn't the reason that she was on the ground and she couldn't get up and had to get a rescue team to come in. She had to be rescued from her front yard, brothers. That's nobody's fault but her own. And just like this woman, Dank DeMoss, it's her fault. And so let's take another look and listen to the great female lyricist, 468-pound Dank DeMoss.
Fuck a few bitches, but bitches my mind kisser. Please don't get it twisted, my pussy was spine kisser. If you thought I liked it, the pussy a crime kisser. Y'all fucking on these niggas, I've been here, they been trash.